Hello and welcome to Leveraging AI, the podcast that shares practical, ethical ways to leverage AI to improve efficiency, grow your business, and advance your career. This is Isar Meitis, your host, and I have a different, unique, and exciting episode for you today. Most of the time, we just talk about business and processes in business and so on, but a very big part of running a successful business is being able to train yourself and your employees on new things that are happening. And that becomes an even bigger necessity in the world of AI, where things are moving and changing all the time. But one of the problems that we face as learners or as people who are trying to teach other people, so people in L&D positions, is that people learn in different ways, right? Different people have different ways that they like to learn, different knowledge gaps that they have. And the current way of learning and training usually aims for the average student, which means you're actually not providing optimal training for more or less anyone. That being said, AI is an amazing tool to solve that problem and provide a personalized custom training to every single person in your organization, whether that would be college, high school, elementary school, or in your business. And our guest today, Hank Barker, is an expert exactly on that, on how to use ChatGPT and other AI tools in order to, first of all, understand your personalized knowledge gaps, but then build a customized plan on how to have ChatGPT train you and help you close the gaps that you currently have. I find this extremely exciting and think that's the future of training, like putting people in a classroom, again, whether that's in a business environment or in a school environment, and teaching everybody the same thing is not making any sense to me anymore. I must admit, it did make sense to me for a very long time now. But now we have an opportunity to actually solve that problem. So I'm very excited to be talking about this. Hank, welcome to Leveraging AI.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm just glad to be here. And like you said, there's people learn in so many different ways, so you have to be able to accommodate that. And now with tools like ChatGPT, you just have that capability, and it's really exciting to see. And like you said, I think this is going to be the future of how we learn.
I think it's amazing to me that you talk to people, schools and universities, and the first thing they do is they ban this thing. Like, you're not allowed to use ChatGPT. It's no, and it's blocked from the network, and you can't get access to it. I'm like, you're idiots. This is literally the biggest opportunity we had to change the way we've been teaching for, I don't know, 150 years now. People sit in classroom with a teacher in front of a board. Like, how can that be? Like, everything else in the world has changed. And even in a business environment, if you think about it, how do businesses provide training? It's usually they would bring some kind of an external instructor that sits in a classroom in front of X number of employees and teaches them for X number of hours the same content, which again does not make any sense. So, what's the alternative? I'll let you take it from here and walk us through your process.
Yeah, so the alternative is it's personalized learning plans. And we're at a time now where, like I said, we can use these tools to like instead of taking this cookie cutter approach where everybody's getting the same exact like plan, you can now create these personalized plans for each individual because everyone has their own necessities. For someone, they might learn way better with hands-on approaches, and some learn more from like a theoretical approach.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you can take a tool like a Chat GPT, and with just a first good initial prompt, you can craft a strong personalized learning plan that's going to be perfect for them and what they need to learn.
Okay, so let's do it. I'm really excited on a very personal level to learn this as an instructor myself who teaches courses on AI and supports organizations in training their employees and so on AI. So I'm really curious about this. Let's dive right in.
All right, perfect. Let me share my screen real quick for you.
So those of you who are listening and cannot see the screen, this will be available on YouTube as well. So if you want to watch it over there, but also we're going to share exactly what's on the screen. That just helps us follow the process in a more precise way.
All right, can you see my screen?
I can.
All right, perfect. So we're going to start off with the initial prompt, something pretty simple, nothing crazy. So you're going to start off by establishing the role of the bot. So the role is going to be that you are an expert at crafting highly personalized learning plans for individuals in the workspace. You assist in every step from creating the benchmark test to analyzing results, and finally, creating and help carrying out the personalized plan. Then I also offered it to say, here's some more information about you. You ask clarifying questions when needed to ensure great results. You are patient and understanding, implementing any needs into the plan, and you always deliver high quality results and don't skip any necessary information. So let's enter that in, and it's going to basically say, hey, great, I'm going to need some more information from you. So the persona that I'm going to go with today is a woman named Stacy. Now, Stacy's like a running thing on LinkedIn with me and a couple other creators. We started her off with me and a man named Josh Wheeler and I forget who the other guy was. Oh, Archer. And what we did was we took Stacy and we were using Stacy for New Year's goals. So we wanted to basically establish her as like a running character. So I thought, why not have Stacy learn something new today?
Okay.
So basically, right off the bat, it says, that sounds great. As an expert in crafting highly personalized learning plans, I'm here to help you through every step of the process. So it asks for at first, right, for some initial details. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide it with who Stacy is and what we're looking for.
Awesome.
So I can say, my new employee is Stacy, who is struggling in learning how to conduct sales calls. She has some prior experience, but can't grasp and implement the concepts. Ideally, I would want this to be about her to become confident in her abilities, and I want this to be within the next month because people want to learn quick. They don't want it to take a long time.
Yeah.
So next is going to give us some sort of, it's going to say, hey, to do this, we're going to need to do an assessment. We're going to need to have develop the learning plan. And from here, it's basically going to go through the steps of, okay, if you were to be creating a plan for her, what do you need to be covering? So it goes into a little bit into detail of each step. Okay, potentially doing role playing, real time, giving some feedback, progressing watching the progress. And from here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be asking it for an evaluation. It's going to say, hey, I need an assessment of where she is struggling. And so I need a test for that.
And I will add one thing as you're typing your prompt for the test. First of all, it gave us a lot of great outline that we didn't go over, but it really gave us a good outline here on assessment and then learning and development plan. And then within each and every one of them, there's sub bullet points with a lot of useful information, and then practice and application, and then reevaluation and support and encouragement, and then adjustments as she progresses. So it's a great outline that we have just out of the get-go, and again, with more details underneath that. But the other thing that I want to say, specifically on your particular example, that you can even take, and today ChatGPT is very good. It has a very large context window, and it's very good at analyzing large quantities of data. So you can even say, okay, here are the transcripts of her last 10 sales calls.
Oh,
And
for sure.
here is the benchmark that other people that are good sales calls have. Here are their calls. And here is the script that we asked them to actually use doing sales calls. And this how I want you to evaluate the calls. So now, without even having Stacy in the loop, you can already have ChatGPT have a very good reference to what is needed, what is a good sales call, and how her calls look like. So you can use these kind of things, especially in this very particular example. You have information that you can start with without actually having the person involved yet.
Oh, for sure. There's so many different avenues you can go down. And like you said, it's just starting off great, perfect. From here, you could take it in so many different avenues. You could give it a lot more information to really dive deep in certain applications, certain things that she struggles with. But the next step that I'm going to take is I'm going to have it create the test that I should be giving her. And I'm just, for the sake of this, it should be around 20 questions. and cover all important topics to do with sales calls. So then from here, it's going to create an all-encompassing 20-question test that we can use to then have her answer these questions. And then from there, ChatGPT is going to analyze these questions for where she could improve. And then from there, we can take it to the final step of creating this learning plan for her.
That's brilliant.
So I've done this so many different times, and it always gives very similar questions, I've noticed. I don't know if this is something if you've done anything similar, but every time I've done it, I get a very similar, like, understanding customer needs, opening the call. It gives me very similar questions to ask Stacy.
Which makes sense, right? It's
Yeah.
you asked it on a very specific topic. What are the important
Mhm.
things on doing a sales call? So I gave you two questions on each and every one of those things.
Yep,
And I
for
think
sure.
that
So,
the beauty of this, if you scroll back up a little bit,
mhm.
the beauty of this, so the questions it gave us is about opening the call, product knowledge, communication skills, handling objections, and building rapport, closing the sale, and then follow up. So it gave us all the
Yep,
different aspects of this
exactly.
thing. I think the beauty of this is if you know what somebody's struggling with, you can build a test that is a layer deeper than that, right? You can say, okay, I
For
know that
sure.
she's struggling with closing and dealing with objections. So write
Yep.
me a test to understand exactly what she's dealing with when dealing with objections and closing a deal. And then you'll get, instead of 20 questions, two on each general step of a sales call, it will dive a
Mhm.
lot deeper and will give you 10 questions on the two topics that you want to focus on. So if you have prior understanding of what this particular individual is struggling with, you can do that, or you can actually do a second step here, which maybe you were planning to do. So if I'm stealing your thunder, I apologize.
No,
But you can
totally.
do
I
a
love
second
I love hearing what
step
you got to say.
where it says, okay,
Mhm.
based on the questions, based on the answers to these questions, ask follow-up
Mhm.
questions to dive deeper into whatever topics you think we need to dive into.
For sure. Yeah, you're hitting it right on the head. You can keep going layers and layers deeper to just continue adding more to it. Now, this is a very surface level example. So like you said, there's so many layers to this to just really, like you said, delve deeper. It's such a cool opportunity here. So from this, we got the questions that we want to ask. So from here, like I said, I've had very similar questions every time, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to give similar questions so I can proceed with the next step. So now I've already done this before. I've had ChatGPT actually go and answer these questions in a different chat as if it was somebody that wasn't confident in
Yeah.
sales calls. So I have some examples of answers that we've been given. And I said, from here, I'm saying, okay, here are Stacy's answers in which she's not very confident with her answers. Please analyze them for where she needs to improve. And then from there, ChatGPT is going to take what you put and is able to find where is Stacy struggling the most and where would a detailed plan help her the most.
And I want to add one thing to what you said. And I do this when I teach
Mm-hmm.
my courses. We talk a lot about this, that you
Yeah.
can use ChatGPT to help you fine tune ChatGPT, right? So
Mm-hmm.
before you give
Exactly.
it to students, if you want to see if your process actually works, you can run a separate chat, having ChatGPT play the role of multiple types of students. Let them take
Exactly.
the tests, bring it back here, and then you can improve your own process over time without having the first batch of students be your guinea pigs. You can have them be the 10th batch that's actually going through the
Exactly.
process. And now you have a much better fine-tuned process. And this is true for almost anything you want to do. Let's say you want to do a customer service assessment and you want to ask your
Mm-hmm.
customers multiple things. You can write the assessment and then let ChatGPT answer it as different personas and then see what you get. And say,
Exactly.
maybe I want to ask these questions instead of those questions. And you can fine tune processes just by playing ChatGPT against itself, if you want,
Mm-hmm.
to get a better first step when you actually go live with the thing you want to go live with. So it's a great
Exactly.
example that you just gave on how to do that, letting it
Mm-hmm.
answer the questions to see if you're asking the right questions.
Yeah, for sure. That you like you said, that was perfect. Everything you just said was awesome. And yeah, I all the time will utilize ChatGPT to create different personas and just have ChatGPT work against ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. So it gives us a very initial action plan. Here it says what she's struggling with. She has a struggle with basic understanding, grasping the ideal customer profile, and basically just has outlined here's where she's not the best at with sales calls. So from here, I would just say now give me a detailed plan, the detailed plan for Stacy.
So just to explain what we see on the screen is that it gave us
Mm-hmm.
the evaluation of what it thinks about how she did on the test, and then it suggested
Yep.
an outline of an action plan. And what
Mm-hmm.
Hank is asking for now is, okay, I like the outline, give me the actual plan.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because yeah, you could take this very like face value, like here's a suggested action plan. For this example, we really want to delve deep. We want to make sure she has, getting everything she needs to know from this. So perfect. Right off the bat, we're getting week one being a foundation in a product, like product knowledge. We're starting off strong. And like I said, I wanted this within a month. So ChatGPT is recognizing that and saying, hey, here's a 4 weeks to a month plan with the week one being focusing on foundation and product knowledge. The objectives are to enhance understanding of product features and unique selling points and develop a clear understanding of the ideal customer profile. It offers the activities as product training sessions and a customer profiling workshop. It even gives assignments like creating a detailed product fact sheet and developing a customer profile for a hypothetical but realistic client. Then week two, we have sales call structure and techniques, which you're working on improving sales calls processes and developing skills in handling objections. Again, it gives activities and assignments, and then we work into week three, which is communication, report building, and active listening, which is the goal. The objective is to enhance communication skills, focusing on active listening and report building. And then finally, we have week four, which is resilience, follow-up strategies, and self-improvement. We're going to develop strategies, learn effective follow-up strategies, and foster a mindset of continuous self-improvement. And it
So
also
I want to
offers
pause you for a
ongoing, yep,
second. First of all, I
continue,
think
no
it's
problem.
freaking brilliant. But I
Thank
want
you.
to add another layer to what you're saying, especially again in this
Mm-hmm.
particular example, but it's true in any
Exactly.
customer facing roles,
Mm-hmm.
which is ChatGPT now has voice. It can actually speak
Oh,
and you can speak to
yeah.
it. So in this particular scenario, you can say, and especially if you fed it your best practices, and if you fed it
Mm-hmm.
examples of good calls, and if you fed it the actual calls where this individual was struggling, you can ask it after it goes to that phase in the training to literally hold a call with a fake client to experience the things you were just talking about. So you can ask it to say, okay, now I want you to play the role of a client that will be the profile that we just talked about, and literally have the call. And then at the end of the call, get a feedback from ChatGPT on how you did on the things you just did in the things. And it's really endless. Like the amount of things you can do with it, it's just up to your imagination, and the implementation is really easy. And in the first two batches, it's not going to be great. It's just going to be good. But as you keep on improving it and you can improve this process, you can give them great feedback with actual quote unquote real time experience without talking to real customers.
Yeah, well said. Like you said, mentioned, it's up to the imagination, and I totally agree with that. If you can think it, more than likely you can do it with ChatGPT. So
Yeah.
I really like that example of using it for speech. I didn't even think of that. That was a great recommendation there. Something definitely that. So if you're looking into doing it with sales calls, for example, creating a personalized learning plan, it could help for the product training sessions or the customer profiling workshop. It could help with so many different opportunities. So the last little bit here that it also brought up was it also offered saying, hey, here's some you can get ongoing support and feedback. Make sure you're utilizing like a mentor of some sorts. And then also said here, make sure you do an evaluation and a month assessment to evaluate progress against digital benchmarks, and a feedback session to basically discuss where Stacy's at and where you could continuously start to improve upon this initial plan.
First of all, I think this is amazing. I want to touch on one more higher level business aspect of this thing, right?
Go
So
ahead for sure.
one aspect is, which you touched upon, is how to involve other people in the organization in the training process. So it's not just, oh, now I have ChatGPT, I don't need to train this individual.
Yeah.
That's obviously not the case. It's an assistant. The beauty of this is that you can have the results of each and every one of those steps shared with Stacy's manager or the head of training in her department or the L&D department for the whole company. And therefore, they can assist in the process as they see, giving her encouragement when she's making progress, or
Exactly.
giving her additional assistance where she needs, and supplementing what ChatGPT is doing. So that's aspect number one. Aspect number two, which takes it into what I think the future is going to be. If you think about a platform that is like a learning and development platform for the organization, and there's tools like that today, but most of them are really expensive, and hence small businesses usually don't have these in
Yeah.
place. Building something like this that connects to just a database or a CRM, like an internal CRM, that will monitor the progress of every single individual and will continuously suggest new things that they should be training on while giving them the actual tools to train. And this costs, again, $20 a month. Like, in the big scheme of things, you can get very granular on what you're training people while giving them a personalized learning experience, while providing feedback to them and the people that needs to monitor their progress. And stuff like that, I'm not an L&D guy. I assume it exists. I assume it's really expensive. And I assume it does not provide the actual training itself. It just provides you the frameworks and so on. And you need instructors to do that. And this could be an absolute game changer to any company in any size, in any topic, because it will be able to help you take people at their own pace. And all you have to make sure is that they're actually doing it, right? Okay, now you have
Yeah, exactly.
a 4-week plan. I want you to follow the plan, and we'll talk, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It seems like it is the future that we're heading towards. Like you had mentioned, especially like within organizations that don't really have the money to be spending thousands of dollars or whatever they need to on training. This is a very cheap option to get that plan in place and start having them work towards being more efficient in whatever they need to be efficient in.
And I'll add one more thing. I don't know how much you got to play with GPTs or the audience has played with
Oh,
GPTs, but
GPTs is a
GPTs are
great option.
basically a mini packed version of ChatGPT that specializes in something very specific. And you can add a lot of background information into GPTs for them to use as reference for different things. So if you have existing training plans or best practices or even books, I want my employees to follow this process that is defined in this book when they do whatever they do. It doesn't matter whether it's managing skills or writing code or organizing stuff in folders or like whatever the thing you want to train them on. If you have reference material, you can build your in-house GPT that will be a trainer on that particular topic while adding reference information and telling it to only use this reference information. So it's not, oh, I don't know if ChatGPT knows about my little very small niche
Hmm.
area, but if you give it that information, it will still be able to do all the things we've just done with Hank and teach you on that subject based on the book, the PDF, the recordings of a presentation by the CEO, like whatever the case is,
Exactly.
recordings of existing sales calls, customer service tickets solved properly, like whatever it is that you have as reference material, you can use and build a training plan according to that. And then you don't have to write all these prompts because they become a part of that GPT. It will just follow the process like the process we just did. So I think even within the existing tools, without any futuristic thing, without integrating it with anything else, this could be absolutely incredible as a very solid starting point to small and medium businesses.
For sure. And like you said with the GPTs, that is the next step after doing within a chat. Being able to upload your own resources into it and getting these great results, it is the future, like you said. It's being able to take any of those resources that you have, like you said, like maybe potentially transcripts that are trained. These are your high quality transcripts that you want Stacy to learn, for example, having those at her disposal being able to have ChatGPT analyze it for what the best practices are and what worked well, and then being able to take that and apply that into Stacy's training is just, it's next level.
Amazing. Absolutely brilliant. Anything else to add to this, like other tips or tricks that people should be able to be aware of or use when they try these things?
I would say just take it slow, and it may take some time to get the exact plan that you want, for sure. I've had some of the iterations when I've tried this where it spit out like 8-week plans, for example. From there, it would just, you just say, "Hey, I only wanted 4 weeks." It's working with it like it's another human, basically.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've learned is work with it like you're just talking back and forth with somebody. And also just make sure that you don't try to dump too much into it at a time, because sometimes it can, then the quality can decrease as well.
I agree 100%. One of the best practices that I teach in my courses, and that is also written in the best practices from OpenAI themselves, is when you have a lot of detailed steps, break it into the steps. Don't give it
Exactly.
all the instructions at once. Do it step by step. The other benefit, by the way, of doing that is that you can correct it, as you said, if it gave you something that is not great, right? If you ask it for the full thing, you have the full thing. But if you break it step by step, then if it did something wrong in step 2, you're like, okay, let's pause for a minute. It's not exactly what I meant. I want to do this. And then only then you continue to step 3 when you have the correct version of what you wanted to achieve. So absolutely great. If people want to connect with you, follow you, learn from you, work with you, what's the best way to do that?
The best way is right through LinkedIn. I got links through there. Everything is perfect. Just head over to my LinkedIn if you're looking to, learn more or talk to me.
And the link to Hank's LinkedIn is going to be in the show notes. So you can open your phone right now and just click on the link and you'll find him. Hank, this was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed this. I learned a lot. It gave me a lot of ideas to think about. And I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really enjoyed it. It was a great experience.
Awesome.